The star columnists are here, and I mean that figuratively and literally. Sam Mellinger and Vahe Gregorian are here to give us their thoughts on the Chiefs' season, which opens Sunday at Jacksonville, specifically benchmarks for Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, the defense, and other facets of the team. For starters, we set the over-under on Mahomes' touchdown passes this year at 40. Over or under, Sam and Vahe make their cases. Later, we offer a glance back at an eventful weekend of college football openers. There was good news and bad news for fans in the region. This is Sports Beat KC, the Kansas City Star sports podcast presented by Big O Tires. I'm your host, Blair Kerkhoff. It's Tuesday, September 3rd. You guys ever hit the days between dates app or on the...
All the time.
Do you?
Yeah.
Just to measure how many days since something? I did that before we came in here, recording Sports Beat KC, and discovered that it's been 31 weeks since the Chiefs lost to the Patriots in the AFC Championship Game. 31 weeks. It'll be close to 32 by the time the Chiefs open up. Sunday at Jacksonville, so it seems like a lot's happened. A more than active offseason that started just 2 days after the loss to the Patriots with the firing of Bob Sutton and then everything that came along after that on the defensive side of the ball. All right, but today, with Sam Mellinger and Vahe Gregorian here, we are going to use part of our podcast time to talk about some expectations for the Chiefs this year. It's going to be something of the Chiefs prediction segment on the show here. So guys, you ready to make share a few thoughts, make a few predictions about these Chiefs?
Let's do it. Is this supposed to be bold or thoughtful?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Boldly thoughtful.
Thoughtfully bold. It can be a little bit of both, right? Mm-hmm. You know, I expect thoughtful
Real.
from you and bold from Sam.
The wheelhouse that we talk about.
And me just kind of hanging out in the middle. I tell you what, we can save that for Thursday night at the Kansas City Public Library. That little plug where you two will be on stage talking to the good folks at Kansas City. Did you notice that also that night Sarah Smarsh is going to has a book signing at the Unity Temple? So people will have to decide whether to see a potential U.S. Senate candidate in Kansas City or come see some sports schlubs up on stage at the Plaza Library.
I want to see that Venn diagram.
I want to see the Venn diagram. It also includes, I don't know if this would be our crowd anyway, but I think there's a Red Friday Eve event or of some sort of the Chiefs that night. So look, I mean, it's only going to be true believers.
That's right.
I bumped into a neighbor who said she's coming this morning.
All right.
So we got that going for us.
I'm not sure Karen's going to be there, my wife. she had a couple of offers, so we'll see.
I can promise you Katie won't be there.
I actually think Cindy might come.
That's a sitter event.
I think Cindy might come. She said she might heckle us, though. That might be a problem.
We'll deserve it.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get this Chiefs projection started. I'm kind of riffing a little bit off of Sam's Mellinger minutes. He predicted the Chiefs' final record. Go to that if you haven't seen it. We will we'll link to that in the show notes. But Sam, let me ask you: when you went down the game by game, did you have a final record in mind, and then you attempted to get to that final record, or did you just go game by game and let chips fall where they may?
Somewhere in the middle, but more toward the latter. Former, more toward the. I just 13-3.
You had the record in your mind.
I did, and I tried to kind of retrofit it a little bit, but because there's not a game on the schedule that they can't win. You know what I mean? Like in some years past, you just look and you're like, oh my God. I mean,
they're not winning at Denver.
Yeah, they're going to New England. That's going to be a bloodbath. Like whatever. There's no chance. Yeah, at Denver in prime time or something like that. That game does not exist on the schedule, but. You know, I'm a human being who lives in the real world, so I don't think that they're going to go 16-0. You know, especially with that many questions on defense. So yeah, I did end up. Well, am I jumping ahead if I say?
No. Go ahead.
Okay,
Put it out there.
I did end up
drum roll, please.
Picking them to win at New England just because they were. I just can't get out of my head how close those games were last year, and I don't think that if you knock on the door that much, I just think eventually if you're a good team and you're motivated and you have good coaching and talent, eventually you can break through. That may be the one, that people will look at. I'm not sure, but I also picked them to lose their home opener, which would be a little bit of a surprise. But I just think Baltimore, what they do well and what they're said to be focusing on this year is a bad matchup for the Chiefs. And I guess my theory in reverse, right, about they knocked on the door in New England and now I expect them to break through. Baltimore was knocking the hell out of that door, last year at Arrowhead Stadium. Took them to overtime and notably gave Patrick Mahomes his toughest, and I mean that word literally, just toughest, like physically and mentally game of the season. So I think those are probably the two that would surprise people. The Bears game in Chicago late in the season, that just reminds me of the Seattle game so much from last year.
Primetime game.
Yeah, the Bears are the second best team that the Chiefs will play next season behind the Patriots. And then the Chargers in Mexico City, which...
So those are the L's.
Yep, those are the three. But I really do believe in this team, and maybe the defense is going to be just as bad as it has been the last 2 years. And, that'll prove to be naive, whatever. But I really believe in the talent that they have, and I think the changes they made on defense will matter.
That Ravens game last year needed probably the regular season play of the year for the fortune to turn in that game. Remember that? The fourth and nine?
Fourth and nine, for 47 yards or something to Tyreek on the run to the right, with Tyreek continuing to run
and threw across the field.
To do. Across the field, across his arm.
Which you're not supposed to do. But
across his body, I mean. Yeah.
There were a lot of great plays in the regular season last year, but that was the most clutch. It turns out.
And the
specific to a win, right?
The most meaningful. Yeah. The left-handed pass in Denver would also be on there just for pure sort of spectacularness, which probably is not a word. The touchdown to Conley against San Francisco was absolutely absurd. Whatever the 23rd best play that kid made last year is amazing.
Right. Belongs on the top 25 of all-time great Chiefs plays.
Exactly.
Well, the Conley one, I think, is the one that seared most into our memory, probably because Sam found 1,500 words on it.
Of course. I think it was like 17
beautiful words.
I give you credit.
Oh, you got to 1,700. Sorry, I didn't mean to diminish your accomplishment.
I give you credit for giving me credit for keeping it shorter, but I think...
you told the boss it would be 1,500.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I think it jumped twice.
An instant oral history.
It deserved it. It did.
All right, so Patrick Mahomes is a good place to start this. I thought we'd go with instead of final prediction for the season. Sam's already given us 13-3. Vahe, you and I will do it a little bit later. Let's go with an over/under here for Patrick Mahomes, who set all the Chiefs' passing records by about week 9 last season, with 50 touchdowns and 5,000, almost 5,100 yards passing. I did a little research, and of course, Mahomes was the third player to record 50 touchdown passes in a season. Tom Brady did it in 2007 and Manning in 2013. The following season, Brady didn't throw a touchdown pass because that's when he was injured in the opening game against the Chiefs. But the best year that Brady had after his 50 touchdown pass was 36. Peyton Manning, after throwing 55, amazing 55 touchdown passes in 13, had 39 the next year, and 15. And that was in 14. 15 was his final year in the NFL. So I set the Patrick Mahomes touchdown pass over/under at 40. Vahe, does he go over? Does he go under?
I think he does go over. I think what's really interesting, you've thought of this, I'm sure you may have even said it in as many words by the way you phrased it.
Probably too many.
As many. But Brady and Manning were probably in their 30s, weren't they when they did it? Or was Brady a little younger?
Maybe a little young. Maybe early 30s. Maybe 30 or 31.
Okay.
Like that.
But certainly not their first year as a starter.
Correct.
And so that adds a little twist to this.
And Manning was near the end.
It was. That's right.
Third to last season.
What was the number? Do you know off the top of your head what Marino had?
I think he had 48.
48, and that was sort of the operative stat for first year as a starter. Was that what it?
He started 9 games, I think, as a rookie.
Okay,
but
first full.
But he had obliterated the record. 48 was like 8 or 9 more than anybody had ever thrown in a season. And this was in 1984.
Well, look, there's a lot of different ways to look at the reasons this could go over or under. I mean, I think the most obvious, though, is I do believe Patrick will be a better quarterback. I think the arsenal is maybe a touch better, maybe, around it, maybe. I thought what we saw in Damian Williams at the end of the last year was not that much less than Kareem Hunt was producing. I don't know if you would think of him as that sort of explosiveness, but how much the running game is part of this, how much the ability of the starting running backs to catch passes.
It is plural.
Which we see. But the little X factor I think of here is how much they're going to think about what the defense is or isn't doing better, and how much that plays into any stylistic, philosophical changes they might have on offense. Remember Andy's first year, 9-0 start, I believe, starting with Jacksonville.
Yep. On the road at Jacksonville.
And on the road at Jacksonville. Part of what was going on that year, especially in that streak, was they'd get the lead, 10-point lead going into the fourth quarter, then they'd bleed clock. It hasn't really been that way, mostly that I remember anyway, in the Mahomes era. Just the games have been stylistically different. I don't know if that makes a difference in how many, will they grind the clock? Will they try to grind the clock more in the fourth quarter? Will there be scenarios that affects the numbers?
Well, I think that's one of the reasons that they signed LaShawn McCoy, and that will have the running back by committee some fresher legs. That'll be a question. Well, hold on to that thought. We will have a question on that in just a moment. But
may I interject one other quick interjection within your interjection?
Okay.
I was with friends over the weekend they were taking part of their fantasy draft, and I don't do that. I just haven't done it. But it was this is back in Philadelphia area, and 14 teams in this league, which is a little bigger league than I guess most of them are. My one friend was astonished that Mahomes was picked early. Like, quarterbacks don't get picked early in these things, as I understand the format. But the notion is, the perception is that he is worth X amount more because of that. I just found that interesting. And is that actually true? Do you guys have that knowledge that quarterbacks don't usually get drafted in the first few picks?
I'm in a super nerdy league, and shout out to me for having Patrick Mahomes. But the idea is that quarterbacks score the most, but an average quarterback will score a lot more than an average running back. So you want to take in most leagues, it's going to be running backs with the first 5 picks, something like that. But because like if you have Mahomes, you're going to score more than somebody that has. I'm just trying, like Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins will score you some points, But can I did some fact checking here. Tom Brady was 30 exactly. Like that was his age 30 season. Okay. Peyton Manning was 37. But what's interesting about this number, and you said 40.
Yeah.
Most of the sports books are like 36 to 38.
I've seen 37 and a half for a couple of them.
And I think 40 is the right number. I do think, and maybe it's hard to know, like we're here. We're in Kansas City. Are you too close to the forest for the trees kind of thing? But just to put this into context, I think a lot of people listening know this, but there's only been 13 seasons that a quarterback has thrown 40 touchdowns or more. And the list of these guys, like I know a lot of people know this, but it's an amazing. It's Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to skip over guys that have done it twice. Dan Marino, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Stafford, Kurt Warner, Andrew Luck. Stafford and Luck, even though he was on that track, are the only 2 guys that are either not in the Hall of Fame or not going to be, right?
Correct.
That's a pretty ridiculous list. Even as, the explosion of offense and the explosion of pass offense is not a new thing. This has been around for a while, and still it's just that caliber of quarterback that's gone over 40. And each one of those guys obviously has had many, many more seasons under that number than above it. So I think logically the sensible number is under, just because history matters. But I think over. Because I don't know how many, like just the physical talent, the context of the coaching, and I don't know how many of those guys that Tom Brady's 50 season, he had Randy Moss, and that was the year that Randy Moss caught 1,000,000 yards.
Yep,
and
was terrific.
He was amazing. But Kelsey, Hill, Watkins, 3 running backs who each one of them could get 15 to 20 carries or 15 to 20 touches at least, and you feel okay about it. I just don't know how many of those guys are in that sort of context. So, there's so many factors about like the defense. One of the reasons I think the offense can actually be better, as crazy as that is that I think the defense will get off the field a little bit more. There were so many third downs. The other team could have the ball for 8 minutes and just bleed it out and limit the possessions that the Chiefs would have. And I think that matters. But you're right. Like some of it, you remember the San Diego game, for instance, the San Diego.
I love calling it San Diego. God. I think we should just stipulate that we will always refer to the Chargers.
I agree.
Well, hell yeah.
I agree.
The game they played, the San Diego Chargers in L.A., he had...
Opener.
Yeah, he had 2, maybe 3. He had 2 shovel pass touchdowns. One to DeAnthony Thomas and one to Tyreek Hill, if I remember right.
I think you're right.
And maybe another really short one.
Remember, he opened the game scoring open, first of all, with the Tyreek Hill long touchdown punt return. But the other one was the quick slant that turned into a 60-yard sprint.
Yeah,
across the middle.
Yeah, the ball didn't travel. It was a great throw, but the ball didn't travel very far.
There's so many factors that could make 40 impossible. But one thing, and I don't know how much we've necessarily written about this, but part of me wonders if the Chiefs are going to throw 75% of the downs this year and just light it up. Their offensive line is better in pass protection. It's a good offensive line, but they're much better in pass protection than they are in the run game. And the weapons they have, all of those running backs are really good route runners. They're really good,
including
hands.
LaShawn McCoy.
Yes, LaShawn McCoy might be the best one.
Yep.
And I just wonder, Andy Reid is always pushing. He's always finding something new, and I know we're headed in that direction anyway. Not just here in Kansas City, but around the NFL. I just wonder if there might be a big leap, and he might say, you know what, screw it. Like this is our best chance to win. Like I've got the reigning MVP as quarterback. Like if I'm playing defense against me, I am hoping that I run the ball a lot, so why don't we throw it? I just wonder about that.
That's a great point. And why not keep extending the thinking, right? One way or another, whether he comes to those conclusions or not. But you can bet he's asked them those questions.
Yep.
Why wouldn't we do this?
Yep.
That's really interesting.
Because a part of the reason that you run the ball, you keep the clock moving. There's an old school football thought, right? We've all heard it about when you throw the ball, 3 things can happen and 2 of them are bad. But if you have a guy that just threw 12 interceptions in his first year as a starter, and you believe in his brain and you believe in his study, you probably believe that number can go down, and he's accurate. So it's they can call a lot of passes that are sort of run plays. Short passes, swings, all that stuff. So it lowers the risk, and there's a hell of a lot of potential. It's just a thought I have, and if that's the way it goes, he might throw 56.
One of the things I'm really persuaded is true after talking to a lot of people and studying Patrick to some degree is that the things that the naked eye or the superficial glance might say are gambles by him are far less that than you might think.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, even that crazy tight window, if I remember right, and as Bill Self would say, you might have to check me on this, I don't know how many of his interceptions last year were ones that he just tried to force it in a window. I don't remember many that were like that. I don't remember many at all, of course.
Yeah. There was one against the Rams was a terrible idea, poorly executed. I
know the one. Yeah.
Toward the end of the game.
Yeah.
And another one was kind of, unnecessary. But you're right. Like the one, I think he only threw one against Baltimore, and that was a 3rd and long, and nobody was really open. It was sort of an arm punt. There's... God, we could probably remember each one of them. There were so few.
10?
It was 12.
12, yeah.
But the one against the Rams was the only one that I can remember. That was just
and that was desperation at the end a little bit, right? I mean,
yeah, but it wasn't the right time to take that risk.
Yeah.
But
that's
the
right.
Marcus Peters one was, I think he was jostled and was woefully underthrown.
Yes. That was just a bad throw. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, it was. You're not going to go through and throw none.
But I did, in my mind anyway, I just remember thinking that's where his interceptions are going to come. He's just going to think he can get it in there all the time. And he basically does.
There was one against the Jaguars, right? That was.
Did you just say Jaguars?
I hope not. Well, now two that are coming to mind. The Dante Hightower in New England, where he kind of got fooled.
And Hightower hid. I remember it was a great defensive play.
It was a great defensive play.
And he just hid, and all of a sudden he popped up like a jack in the box. There he was to make the pick.
Yep. And then there was another one against the Jags that was sort of if I remember right, kind of a crossing route, and I can't remember if it was a safety or a linebacker, but picked it off over the middle. And I think that's what you're talking about, right, Vahe? That's the interception I thought he would throw 8 times last season. Yeah. And I think he threw it once.
Yeah.
Well, a couple things. Never underestimate the ability of an Andy Reid scheme to prevent interceptions.
Sure.
I mean, these guys are just going to be open. And I just remember Mahomes spending a lot of time in the preseason talking about being smarter, playing smarter. He used the Seattle game as the great example of he should have taken a safer pass instead of an overthrow that fell incomplete.
I loved how his explanation on that. Sorry, but can we just go over it because it was so great.
It was great.
It was it was a 3rd and 5.
Yes, and it was like the first series, I think.
Yeah,
maybe in the first series of the game.
And he could either run it, like he had an angle, or Demarcus Robinson was going deep, and he was like, 9 out of 10 times if I just run it, I get that first down. There's a defender there, but 9 out of 10 times I could just run it. And he goes, but I went for Demarcus Robinson, and he's like, 7 out of 10 times I hit that, and it's a 70-yard touchdown. But I have to be smarter and just take the run. I was like, this guy.
It was your question. We were talking to him in St. Joseph, and you were asking him to pick out a play from last season that, kind of a do-over.
Yeah.
And that was the one that he came up.
Yeah, I took a 7 out of 10 chance at a 70-yard touchdown. Really screwed that one up.
Hey, I think I've picked up on something on the edges a little bit, and I don't know when it would have happened, but I do believe he was not as mobile in the last few games of the season, 5, 6, 7 games on into the playoffs maybe a little rest helped him. But I think that might have showed up in some of his calculations, ones like that.
Yeah.
And I can't swear to it. It's just been sort of subtly said in between the weeds that he needed to get healthy after the season. And I think, I don't know, lower body, some sort of thing, I think was slowing him down a little bit.
Yeah, could be.
All right, so we've covered a lot of Mahomes ideas here. Let me just put one more out there, and we'll take a break after this. But I also set the over-under for Mahomes passing yards at 47.50. So how do I reach 47.50? Well, there have been 11 players in NFL history to throw 5,000 yards in a season. 2 of them were last year, Mahomes and Ben Roethlisberger. In fact, Mahomes didn't lead the league in passing yards. Roethlisberger did. So 9 players have had a season after their 5,000-yard season. Drew Brees, by the way, has 5,000. Drew Brees, the more I research this, the more amazed I am at Drew Brees, by the way, who is the career passing leader in the NFL. But so there have been 9 occasions where a 5,000-yard passing season got to accumulate stats next year. The average yards in those seasons were 4,741. So the over-under for Patrick Mahomes is set at 4,750. I'll start. I think he goes under that number. I think he goes over the touchdown, but under the yards. And I have no good reason except I just can't be euphoric over Patrick Mahomes in every conversation.
You got to go under
that we ever have.
To show how rational you are.
Part of this has to do with what both of you guys said so well just a moment ago. I think the defense is going to play better. I think that time of possession will be a little bit more more of a focus with the running game. I think the Chiefs will try to close out games, 4-minute offense type of thing at the end of games. That may keep his numbers down, at least in that category. Vahe, 47.50 is the over-under.
Well, look, a couple thoughts on this that sort of relate to what we were talking about before. If you're a coach with this arsenal, I mean, and you can drain the other team dry with long drives or with a 71-yard pass at any time. What are you doing most of? What debilitates the other team more, a quick flash or a long drive? And I'm not saying the Chiefs can just choose and do this all the time, but
they can probably do it as well as any team in the NFL, though.
Yeah, so they have some choice there, right? And it kind of circles me back to Sam. I do find myself intrigued now by this idea that Andy's just going to say, "Yeah, you know what? Let's just do it different than anybody ever did." All my stammering is to say, I feel like he'll go over. I just do, and it has me thinking back to whatever we thought our numbers were going to be last year. By the way, I think we did
tape.
Yeah, we did. I'm making the number up a little bit, but I think basically I thought he would throw something like 31 TDs and 19 interceptions last year. It was some kind of ratio like that. It doesn't really have anything to do with your point here.
No, but you're right. It's good to remember that. I like 25 and 12 or 25 and 13, something like that. And that would have been like the second greatest touchdown passing year in Chiefs history at that point. I thought it was going out on a limb. This first-year starter can approach 27 or 30, or whatever Dawson had, 30, I guess.
It's so silly. I'm going to go over on, like, I appreciate your wanting to be like rational,
voice of reason,
and
arms folded,
realistic. But I've said this a million times, but like watching him so far has just been like this constant battle in my mind of what I think is possible versus what he's actually doing in real life, which is better than what I think is possible. And so I'm going to go over just based on that and based on kind of what I said. I just wonder if they're going to throw the dog out of the ball because they don't have, all three of these running backs. Like I think, we're leaving Darrell Williams out a little bit here, but those three guys, they can all run the ball fine, but they're really good in the passing game. And everything is kind of pushing that way to just let it loose. And, we can get into the weeds a little bit about, okay, that's great when you're up 14 or whatever in the third quarter, but how are you going to grind it out? I actually think that Andy Reid can figure out a way to grind it out through the air, like as weird as that sounds, but short passes, you've got, the best tight end in the game. That's a big target in the middle of the field. Tyreek Hill is great. You don't want to throw contested passes in that situation, obviously, but he's great in those. Sammy Watkins is, not a really physical receiver, but bigger than most of the corners that'll be covering him. I think they can figure out a way, because if you look at like the other two offenses in the league, unless I'm forgetting about somebody, and please tell me if I am, but the Saints and the Rams are in the Chiefs sort of league. I think it's those three and then kind of everybody else. And those two teams have kind of, it's a cliche term, but like these bell cow running backs. And Todd Gurley and his knees, whatever, but, they also have Henderson that they just drafted. They can grind it out a little bit. Al Kamara is as good as anybody, for the Saints. The Chiefs have three talented guys, but I don't think they have that. There's not Leonard Fournette, who we'll see on Sunday. They don't have like, Kareem Hunt used to be that guy to be able to just, grind it. They don't have that. I think their best way to grind it out might be, let's do a swing pass to Damian Williams. Then let's do LaShawn McCoy on a slant in. And then there's Travis Kelce over the middle. And then, like, I just think that might be the way to go. And, if I'm right about that, if they do think that their perfect balance is more like 70-30 or 75-25 than 60-40, 55-45 that most teams are going with, then I think these numbers could just look absolutely silly.
Okay, over, under here. All right, well, like the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, we will continue to air it out after this break.
The biggest tire sale of the year could only happen at Big O Tires, but you've only got 2 weeks to get 2 free tires. That's right, 2 free tires when you buy 2 now at Big O Tires through September 9th. Just buy 2 select tires and you'll receive 2 free with the purchase of a 1-year alignment and tire protection package. That's half off your tires at Big O Tires. It's the biggest tire sale of the year through September 9th only. Buy 2 tires, get 2 free. Now at Big O Tires. Big on service, guaranteed low prices. For the location nearest you, go to bigotires.com.
Hey, it's Blair. Hey, we have a special subscription offer for SportsBeat KC listeners, unlimited digital access to the Kansas City Star's award-winning sports coverage. Sign up now for 1 year of Sports Pass for access to all the sports news, features, and columns we have to offer. And it's only $30. That's a 40% savings off our regular rate. For your convenience, your subscription will automatically renew after the initial term at $50 unless you tell us to cancel. A lot of subscription services won't tell you that. They'll just sneak it on there we just told you. Your subscription helps support the sports coverage of kansascity.com and the Kansas City Star. Please visit kansascity.com/sportsbeatkc offer to get this special offer. And as always, thanks for listening. We are back with Sam Mellinger and Vahe Gregorian, the Star columnist, and we are projecting the Chiefs' season and some individual numbers. We just spent an entire segment on Patrick Mahomes because, well, he deserved it. He kind of deserved it.
Did you guys watch last season? That's why.
This one time last season?
But
yeah.
There are other positions on this Chiefs team that might play a role in the success of the team, and we'll go to running back, not individually but collectively, with the addition of LaShawn McCoy joining Damian Williams, Darwin Thompson, and Darrell Williams. I think one of the more interesting questions to answer on Sunday is which one of those guys ends up on the inactive list, because I don't think they're going to dress out 4 plus Anthony Sherman. My guess would be Darrell Williams.
Sure.
But so my question is, this is yes or no, not over under. Will the Chiefs have a 1,000-yard rusher this season? Keep in mind, in Andy Reid's 6 seasons with the Chiefs, 3 times he's had a 1,000-yard rusher, and Kareem Hunt was headed toward 1,000 yards last year before he was dismissed. He would have been a 1,000-yard rusher. So, Sam, Chiefs, 1,000-yard rusher this year, yes or no?
I say no for 2 reasons. One is I just think they'll split it. I think they've got 3 guys that can do it. You never know about injuries, obviously, but I just think they'll be over well over 1,000. I would assume.
Sure. As a team, right?
As a collective, just those 3 guys. And the other reason is just this my theme today. I think they're going to throw the dog out of the ball, so that means fewer yards for the running backs and more for the receivers.
I'm in on that. I think that's the reasoning is the same for me. I think it just makes sense. And what I'm interested in within that is where McCoy fits into. It's. I mean, we think are we going to call them co-starters? Not quite.
No, but it was kind of framed that way in a similar way at the news conference on Monday, that McCoy's coming into not to be the he started on the depth chart at number 2, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
Already number 2. I suspect we'll see him get 8 to 10 carries a game, and Damian Williams maybe a similar amount. Also, and we made the point earlier that these running backs are, in addition to carrying the ball, they pass protect and they catch the ball a lot, and so that can keep a running back's numbers down. However, I can't swear to this, but like I said, 3 of the 6 years Andy Reid has had a 1,000-yard rusher, and I think in those 3 years the running back played 16 games. Wasn't the case last year with Kareem Hunt. It wasn't the case the year that Spencer Ware led him in rushing, and I think Charkandrick West actually led him in rushing one year as well.
A playoff team.
Yes, which is most Andy Reid teams, right?
That's right.
So if a running back gets to 16 games, maybe I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say there is a 1,000-yard, maybe like 1,003, something like that. But I won't tell you which one. It'll be Williams or Damian Williams or McCoy. All right, so who leads the Chiefs in touchdowns this year? Is it Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, Damian Williams, LaShawn McCoy, or other? Sam?
Kelsey's probably the chalk answer, right? But I don't like to go with chalk, but I will go with Travis Kelce. I think
he led him last year.
Yeah.
Right?
It was 12, I think. I was just looking that up. 12 for him, 10 for Tyreek. Actually, I think it was the other way around. I think Tyreek was 12. And I'll look it up while we talk to ensure accuracy.
When they get into the red zone, especially when they get inside the 10, that's a big target that is open even when he's not open. You know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking of plays like you remember the touchdown catch in Cleveland? Is we were looking at it was the end zone on the right side, and he ran a slant, and Mahomes threw an absolute bullet. and he probably threw it.
It was a great pass.
9.5 feet above the ground, maybe 10.
Fantastic pass.
Yeah, and nobody could have caught that ball except for Kelce in that situation. There's a lot of situations like that. Tyreek Hill is a freak talent, and much better. He's a better red zone threat than I think he's often given credit for because of his size. But he'll get the breakaways, right? Like he'll get 5 or 6 touchdowns that are 50 yards plus probably. But I just like Kelce's size, and he just fits what Andy Reid likes to do.
The way I have the stats on the phone don't show the special teams. I can't remember how many runbacks Tyreek had for a touchdown last year.
I don't think he had one.
I don't think he had one.
I don't think
Maybe
the
none.
Chiefs had a
first game.
That's right, the punt return.
Punt return of the first game, right?
That's right. And I think Tremont Smith came close.
Yeah.
Got pulled down from behind. Was it New England?
Yeah. Oh, was it New England? Oh, that's right. It was New England. Yeah. Well, the overall touchdown, it actually was Kareem Hunt still led them in touchdowns last year with 14, 7 rushing, 7 receiving.
Interesting. I offered running backs as an option here.
Yeah.
And tight end has been taken. What say you, Vahe?
Well, I mean, does that mean I need to go with something different?
No, you can absolutely.
I think the reasoning on Kelce is good, but I also think the history shows us a little bit. If here's the odd candidate, right? It's McCoy, right? If Andy sees him that way, maybe he's not in the rhythm right away, but he's a guy with a dual scoring capacity. He had 17 one season. That was a few years back. 13 in another season. I think maybe it comes out of the backfield.
I agree. I'm going to say Damian Williams, and only because if you look at the 2 playoff games last year, Damian Williams had 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Kelce had 1. I think Tyreek Hill had 1 against the Colts. But it was Damian Williams who got in the end zone most often, and I think he had 3 in the 3 games he started at the end of the season, regular season games. I think he had 3 touchdowns total in those games. So in 5 games, 7 touchdowns for Damian Williams, which puts him on a pretty nice pace. Now the McCoy mitigates that a little bit if everything goes well, but I think it's going to be a running back that leads the Chiefs in touchdowns this year for those in fantasy world. All right, last one in this category. The Chiefs ranked 31st in total defense. That's yards allowed last year. I didn't say points allowed because points includes defensive touchdowns and special teams touchdowns. I think yards allowed is a more accurate reflection of how to measure a defense. And it was pretty bad. Pretty bad. Chiefs 31st in defense. I'm setting over-under here at 20. Chiefs rank 20th in total defense. Over or under, Sam?
Well, what's over? Is over better?
Oh, okay. That's a good question.
I think
let's just say better or worse than 20. Let's just say better or worse.
I think worse. I think the burden of proof is on that group, even though most of them weren't around last year or the year before. I think they'll be improved. I really do, and significantly. But I still think 20 to 25 is more likely. If they could get up to league average, if they're talking like 16 or something, then 13-3 is being pessimistic.
Right.
I really believe that. There's a lot. I also think this. I really do. I feel this strongly that the defense is not going to be very good early. They were always going to be behind. New scheme, new coaches, new personnel, and then they've had some injuries that have set them even further back on schedule. So I do think that they'll be maybe at or even better than 20 over the last 5 games, we'll say. Maybe 8 games, whatever.
Enough.
That's all you need. That's what matters. They're going to get to the playoffs. But there's too much commotion on that side of the ball, I think, to expect them to be better, over or under, but better than 20.
I like that thinking. I feel like what's going to happen is that it will be 6, 7, 8 games till you feel like this is them being as good as this group can be together. And maybe there'll be room for improvement still, but I think it'll be a few games that expose some issues. I think the numbers will reflect it, and I think that means they'll be worse than 20th overall. But let's hope for their sake that they're playing like a top 15 defense by the second half of the season. I do wonder, though, what we're in for early in the season with wins and losses. I mean, I think it's easy to think they're a great team and they're going to be 5-0 or something. But I, as you noted earlier, Blair, I think there's a trap or two waiting earlier.
Might be. Sam, I thought you had a good point in your minutes when you were breaking down the schedule that at least on paper, they're not facing a quarterback who you would consider to be an all-pro type of guy early on.
Yeah, with the Claiborne list games. Not that Claiborne is a savior, but it's the passing attacks. It's Jacksonville, Oakland, Detroit, and Denver. No, not Denver.
Baltimore.
Yeah.
The third one.
Yeah. So Matt Stafford's obviously got a howitzer, but if you're gonna miss, and let's not overstate the importance of Claiborne, but I do think it's good to have like an adult in the room there, as your number 3 or 4, whatever he ends up being. If you're gonna miss some games, those are the ones you'd want to miss. Tom Brady's gonna eat you up.
Yes,
if that's
especially in Foxborough. Yeah. So. The Chiefs finished 32nd, by the way, in third downs allowed last season, and in their 31st, their total defense, they gave up 405 yards per game. I'm saying, and this is a big ask, if you can remove one score per game, a field goal or a touchdown, and that's monumental, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's an average of 4.5, 5 points. That's too much to ask. Maybe a score every other game on average. That changes everything about this defense, especially the way that the Chiefs, with the Chiefs offense. All right, hey, before we get out of here, it was opening weekend of college football season. Some mixed results from the local 11s. Let's go with the most obvious one first. Missouri goes to Wyoming it was a double-digit favorite. I don't remember where it settled. I think it went up, though. I think it started at 14 and maybe went to 17 or something like that.
I thought I saw 16, and I said that to my friend and our friend, I think, Stephen St. John, who would know such things. And I think he said it got up to 18.
Wow. In the pantheon of Missouri, flubs, let's just keep it recent, Vahe, where does losing at Wyoming rank?
Well, it's pretty big in this sense. Barry Odom's done some really good things. I'm kind of a Barry guy. 10-2 in November has been his thing at Missouri, and now he's that makes him 7 and he's lost 20, so 7-20 otherwise. Is that right? 19-19.
7-19.
No, 9-20 otherwise.
Okay.
That's right.
We'll work on it. It's bad.
Anyway, it's not good. And most of that has been in the form of terrible starts. Mm-hmm. So what's interesting about their schedule is they now have 5 home games in a row.
Starting with West Virginia this weekend.
With West Virginia. But you want to have the feeling that this is stabilized and all moving in the right direction, and that you can have some traction to start the season. And this sets them back. I mean, they need to win a couple in a row at least to give you a feeling like, okay. And that's too bad for the fan base.
Boy, it really is. Missouri, listen, I'm not of that Missouri fan. I'm not of anybody's fan base, really. But if I'm a Missouri follower, I get how hurt you were after that game. I totally understand it. And watching that game, how frustrating it was for Missouri to have 3 straight trips inside the 5 and come away with 3 points out of that, because fumble the ball going in, and then on the other turnover, they had a penalty that pushed them from the 2 to the 17, and then Kelly Bryant threw the interception in the end zone. Yeah. And there was a 10-point swing just before halftime as they're going into the end zone, the fumble, and comes back for a field goal. I mean, it was just everything that could go wrong did go wrong for Missouri. Their rushing defense was terrible in this game. And Wyoming is a capable program coached by Craig Bohl, who won national championship at North Dakota State. Missouri should have won the game. Missouri was the better team. They outgained Wyoming by 150 yards. And Kelly Bryant's passed for 427, a career high, but stupid interception, and he lost a fumble as well. -3 in turnovers for Mizzou. Sam, that's a bad one.
Yeah, there's no encouraging way to lose a game where you're more than a 2-touchdown favorite, right? But you're right. There were some parts of this that were particularly excruciating, and the 2 things that stick out in my mind the most is you just mentioned the Kelly Bryant end zone interception, and the fumble going in is in that category as well. But also, this is Wyoming, and no offense to Wyoming, but this is you're an SEC school. And Wyoming voluntarily goes one-dimensional, and you can't do a thing about it. They rushed for, I think it was 297.
290, yeah, passed for 92.
Yeah, I think it ended up being 297 on the ground, and it was just, they got whatever they wanted on the ground. It's just, how is that happen? Like, that shouldn't be. I thought they were going to play better defense than that. I didn't know that that Kelly Bryant could get to 420, whatever it was, in the first game. You know, I just wonder if that might take a little bit of time, but just the 297, I thought they would play better defense than that.
Yeah.
How about quick thoughts on the victories by Kansas State and Kansas in the debuts of Chris Kleiman and Les Miles? Good start. I guess I expected Kansas State to win. I was really impressed with the way they handled business in that game, and I just didn't know with Kansas, because you just have never known with Kansas over the last decade.
I think it kind of played out the way that you would have thought, right? Like, maybe not. K-State was probably a little bit more dominant than I thought they'd win by 20, 30, like pretty easily. But, I mean, that was a shellacking. And they ran the ball something like 55 times, 58 times, something like that. It was just a physical domination up front. So why do you even the rest of K-State's games, I don't think are going to look like that. They're going to need more from Skylar Thompson.
But this week against Bowling Green, I thought Nicholls State was a better opponent for them than Bowling Green. The difference is now it's an 11 a.m. kick. You've got the excitement of the opener behind you.
Yeah.
Can they muster the...
Get it up again.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah, and the KU game, I thought that was kind of a 50-50 game, and that's what it ended up looking like. I thought that... there's two big takeaways for me. One is the biggest difference in that game was KU had a big advantage with their receivers against Indiana State's secondary, and that was how they won the game. I don't know that that's going to exist in a lot of their other games. They've got good receivers now. They've got legitimately talented receivers, but they're not going to have.
Let me mention two of them: Dylan Charlotte, who caught the touchdown pass, and Andrew Parchment, who was huge in this game. Both transfers. Charlotte started at Alabama.
At Alabama, right?
Parchment, I think, was at Northern Illinois.
Yeah, and both those guys were studs. I mean, they controlled the game. The other part, and this is, to me, the bigger encouragement from, if you want to take it like this, is we've talked about this before. I believe that this is very much a marathon and not a sprint for Les Miles, and I think they're going to lose a lot of games this season. But one thing that you just, okay, that might matter, is I think a David Beatty team folds it in after you give up the fumble and touchdown, and then it's 17-17 with, I think, 4 minutes left, something like that. I just think that, okay, we've seen this. There might be something to it. Carter Stanley, nobody was discussing who the quarterback was going to be, and he had a hell of a game, and he marches him right down for the touchdown. That might matter. If you're looking for encouraging signs, that might matter. But
their total yards, I think, were under 300 against a team that is picked third in the Missouri Valley Conference, and so this week they play Coastal Carolina, which is being affected. We didn't mention this with the Jaguars, but Coastal Carolina also being affected by the hurricane Dorian. So, Vahe, you weren't around, didn't get to see it, but Kansas winning is just, you don't say that often. It's only the 12th time in however many years we say Kansas won a football game.
That's unbelievable, that number you just said. The 12th time in 7 years?
Yeah, it's something it's ridiculous.
I think Sam's point is a really interesting and maybe telling point, that the psychology of, the fold, right? Which is, I think, the whole thing you got to play your way out of first. I mean, you want to get better physically. You want to have better guys coming in. Theoretically, right, they have decent recruits. The pipeline's opening up. But at some point, it's a mindset, and it's such coach speak, but it's really true. I have no doubt they're going to not fold, but they're going to lose a game like that ahead. But I think you can see now they have a one step back, two step forward. I think that's the baseline for something. I really do. Yeah. It says it doesn't have to be that way. Now, it's a lesser opponent. There's all kinds of things that go into this, but it certainly beats the alternative and gives them a little something to work from.
And they've been dealing with the alternative for quite a while over in Lawrence. All right, Vahe and Sam, thanks for stopping by, and we'll talk to you guys again soon.
Thanks,
Blair.
Links to the stories we discussed can be found in the show notes on kansascity.com, facebook.com/RedZoneExtra, and the Red Zone Extra app. Thanks to producer Kathy Liu for putting together today's show, and welcome back, Kathy. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcast, help us out by rating and reviewing SportsBeat KC. We'd love to hear from you, and your review could help us reach more listeners. This has been SportsBeat KC, the Kansas City Star sports podcast, and we'll be back with another episode tomorrow. Thanks for listening.